Welcome, everyone. It's the Sports Writers back again this week, and it's our final 4-week coming up for high school sports, hockey and basketball. We've got a number of local teams here from the North Shore in the tournament with some Tuesday action. As we record this on Monday, Tuesday action coming up in hockey. Phil Stacey, Nick Kukuru, Matt Williams, and Nick Giannino are here with us. And let's begin with the Gloucester-Canton game, the Division II Final Four state semifinal game, which is Tuesday. 5:30 at the Songus Arena. And Nick, I'm going to toss it to your court here. And how do you preview this game? And I'm sure Phil and others will want to weigh in here as well.
Yeah, I mean, Final Four looks like two, juggernauts going at it. Canton has, a 19-game win streak or something like that. They slipped past Walpole the other night, who's usually very good. So, I'm expecting, probably a game that could go either way. It comes down to the wire. That's what it's been the last 2 rounds for Gloucester. Probably a lot of goals. That's kind of been their MO this season, even against defensive teams, which Canton appears to be pretty good on the defensive side of the ice. Other than that, I don't know much about them. This is only the second time they've ever played. They played in the 1994 state tournament. Canton won 6-4 there in the third round. That was Gloucester was going for the repeat that year, and they got bounced by Canton in the third round. So this is the fourth round. Only the second time they ever met. I wish I knew more about Canton, but I really don't know a whole lot about them at all. If they're playing, it's really good.
Bill, you kind of were breaking up, Nick, at the end, but I think we got it. Somehow, I think we understood what you were saying. Believe it or not. Yeah, if I'm wrong, Phil and Nick, Canton has a rink in their community like Gloucester does, right? Yeah. So there you go. I mean, that's got to be a pedigree kind of thing. So that's good. That's good for them, I think.
Well, I mean, Nick and I were talking. Last night, Nick, we were talking about the game, and what Gloucester's done. I know they're the number 2 seed. They won 16 games during the regular season, but I really do feel like what they've done is phenomenal because they're doing what's very difficult to do in the state tournament, which is outscore teams to win. Usually these games get locked down. They become defensive struggles. As you go further and further along, the team defenses find a way to kind of shut down those big scores sometimes. But Gloucester's not allowing that to happen. I mean, that free-flowing style that they love to play just kind of keeps on rolling here. It looks as though Canton plays a very similar style. They have 21 wins. They've won, like Nick said, 19 in a row. They've scored 110 goals, which is that more or less than Gloucester, Nick? I'm not even sure.
It's like Gloucester had 115 going into the tournament, and then they've scored 20 since they got 135 now.
Wow. 20 goals in 3 games. That's in the state tournament. That's crazy. Cannon's also only given up 28 goals, I believe, or it might be 31 now in the playoffs, but it's a scant few. And I know Gloucester's given up more than that. So it looks like we could have a pair of teams here that are going to be run and gun back and forth. Who's going to win the shootout? Now go ahead. Now watch. It'll turn out to be a 2-1 game that we say that, but it certainly has the propensity for being a track meet. It's good to hear that Emerson Marshall is okay, Nick, and he'll be playing tomorrow night.
Yeah, he is. Luckily, that looked like he was injured really badly, but he's got a nice gash under his chin. He's got some stitches, but he's already been cleared. He was cleared Friday night. He passed the concussion protocol at the hospital after the game. So that's good news for Gloucester, because I don't know if they'd be able to overcome that like they did the other night. Which, I mean, if we can go to that game, that might have been one of the craziest games that I've ever covered any sport in my life. I mean, 4-4, less than 5 minutes left, and somebody blew a whistle in the crowd, it sounded like. That has to be what happened, because the refs didn't do it. And, players from both teams stopped. Jack Costanzo didn't stop, and he scored the game-winning goal on a breakaway. So that's how Gloucester advanced to this round under some really, I guess controversial play, but that was one of many controversial plays on the night. A pretty crazy game.
I'm guessing they'll be checking for whistles going into
exactly. I hear they've been making the announcement.
Was
But
was that whistle purchased in the Cape Ann area, Nick, or don't we know?
I'm not sure. You know, I watched the game back a little bit on the live stream broadcast, and whoever had it all night. You could hear it.
Yeah.
You could hear it a bunch. But I definitely heard it on that last play. Obviously, the players on the ice heard it. It was Jack Delaney for Gloucester and Kevin Broderick for Norwood. They were kind of going after the puck just inside the blue line, and they both just stopped. So, I mean, obviously they both heard it, and the referees obviously didn't, because they didn't blow it dead. I know, Costanzo told me after the game he saw everyone stop, and he looked at the referees. He saw all the referees were looking at the puck, so he picked up the puck and kept going. I don't know. I didn't know what to make of it. It was pretty wild. And of course, after Emerson Marshall knocked out of the game on an unpenalized hit that probably should have been was nothing. That kind of stage for a pretty wild night.
It's a good thing that Costanzo didn't have that Pavlovian instinct of hearing the whistle stopping like everybody else did. That's a heads-up player right there to, kind of keep going. And Bill, one of the things that I mentioned to Nick when we were talking is, I know, as they did during the regular season, Costanzo and Marshall are scoring the bulk of the goals for Gloucester, but it's that secondary scoring. It seems like those guys are scoring big goals at key times for Gloucester. And Tarantino, the goalie, is coming up with big saves when they really need them to in crucial spots, especially in those wins over Marblehead, and then, of course, in the last round against Norwood. Yeah,
Marblehead especially, that Tarantino kind of played his best when Marblehead was playing their best in that game. That game could have gone either way, too, against Marblehead, another 6-4, a wild 6-4 game. I mean, it's true. I mean, Derek Elms, senior defenseman, had a goal. That was Gloucester's first goal of the tournament without Marshall or Costanzo on the ice for Elms there from the point. But they have been getting that secondary score, and that was, I don't know if they scored on Friday night. I don't think they did, but they got huge contributions from that third line. Nick White, Drew White, Aiden Donald, that third line. Those guys kind of rotated in on the second line in Marshall's absence, and I thought all three of them were phenomenal, played huge roles. And of course, fourth line forward Colby Warren won that face-off to get it back to Derek Elms, which was a go-ahead goal at the time to make it 3-2. So yeah, their depth, we didn't know how much they had, and it looks like they got a little more than we thought.
Now, I know, obviously, they lost to Mascot twice, both in overtime, games that could have gone either way. They really the only time they've really been shut down all year was by Winthrop when they lost that game 3-1. What was the fourth loss? I can't remember.
Woburn, 6-5 in overtime. So 3 of their 4 losses in overtime.
Okay. So you wonder, does Canton look at that Winthrop game as, this is the way we want to play, this is how we want to try to shut them down? Or is Gloucester now so far past that they've made the adjustments they need to make so that doesn't happen again? But that's a good question.
Well, Marblehead tried the neutral zone trap. They had to scrap it because they got down 3-0 early. But they tried that same neutral zone trap Winthrop has. It didn't really work. They started to find more success. They really started to pressure Gloucester's defense, kind of forcing some turnovers, got them back in that game.
Well, here's an interesting point too, guys, in that, again, Kooks and I kind of figured this out last night. I did think of a third team too, Nick, that's in the same boat. So the teams in our, greater Salem news area, and I'll include, Gloucester and outside from where we cover whatever. No one has ever won 4 state championships. Gloucester has a chance this year to win their 4th. St. John's Prep has a chance this year to win their 4th. Saugus has also won 3. But no one else outside of our greater area. I know Lynn English won a couple way back in the 50s. Danvers has won 2. Marblehead's won 1. Beverly won 1, obviously. But I don't think there's anybody else that has in the area. Winthrop has won a couple, I want to say. We don't cover Winthrop per se, but in the Northeastern Conference, they've won at least 1, I know. Mm-hmm. So, hey, there's history made for these teams too. And I didn't realize Kooks wasn't around for the last time Gloucester won. I just assumed you've always been around, Nick, and I didn't realize that it was just before you started there. Of course, I remember, was it Matt Borowski that scored the game winner in that game? One of the Borowskis did. I remember taking it up the ice, crossing the ice at the Garden, right to left, shooting up the wing and scoring.
Tom Sala at the Garden. Yeah, Mike Borowski was on that team. He was kind of the defenseman that never left the ice, played like 30 minutes a night for him. But yeah, Tom Sala had the overtime goal in that one. I think it was against Coyle Cassidy. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, ironically enough, since I've been covering, sports in Gloucester, Cape Ann area, no team has made it to the state semifinals, Gloucester, Rockport, or Manchester-Essex since 2010, Manchester-Essex girls basketball. So this is the deepest tournament run. I mean, I'm used to all my teams being out by March 1st, usually in the winter season. With Gloucester hockey's been good in recent years. They've kind of been an early a tournament team. Same thing with the Manchester hoop teams in recent years. So this is kind of uncharted territory for me.
Gloucester and St. John's Prep baseball, was that a North final? I thought that was a semifinal.
Yeah, that was baseball.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm talking winter season. Nobody in the winters made it far.
Ironically, too, that Gloucester and St. John's Prep scrimmaged each other before the playoffs started, and they're obviously both benefiting from that. They're both still standing.
I know Matt Williams was going to chime in here, Matt, and then let's talk about the Prep in just a moment in Division I. Matt?
Well, I just think it's great to see Gloucester, doing what they're doing. I mean, to see those crowds. I mean, there were twice as many fans at the Gloucester semifinal on Friday night than there were at the Masco semifinal. And I just think as a fan of public schools and towns like Gloucester that have sports passion, I mean, when you see that, there's nothing better. And I just think the way Gloucester is playing is great for the fans. I mean, they're not they're not beating bad goalies. You watch the video of their moves and it's hands. It's got the wrist strength that those kids have to be deking the puck and things like that. I mean, it's so impressive. I just think as a fan of high school sports, I mean, I'm rooting for this Gloucester team. I have to say, I mean, just to have a public school team capture the city and really bring back, a prideful program. I mean, because they had some hard times, right? I mean, after the mid 2000s, they had some hard times, and to see kids stay in town and, rack up 200 points and bring the pride back. I mean, that's awesome. And I think it gives hope to everybody else that's gone through their own hard times. Right. And, I guess we do have some reach outside the area for our podcast too. We should probably make Newburyport's got 3 championships at least, right? I mean, in Division II, just in the 90s and 2000s. I don't know about the 70s.
Newburyport hockey.
Yeah, and they go to the Garden like 4 or 5 times, in between the 2000s there.
That's a good question. I don't know that.
Linfield too, right? Vin Marisolo must have won at least one, and I mean they're rolling. I wouldn't be surprised to see them there this Sunday too. They're scoring a lot of goals. Linfield.
They're playing tonight, Monday night, right? Vin's long gone from Linfield, but
no. What I'm saying, he did win one. I remember he beat City in a North final, right, in 2006 or something like that, and of course Newburyport beat them in the final in 2009 to go to the Garden too.
Yeah, Linfield's playing Marlborough Monday night in the D3 state semifinal. Phil, let's bring up St. John's Prep because we do want to cover some other sports here as well in the podcast here. We're resting up Nick Giannino. He's in the bullpen. He's loose. He's warm.
He's
ready to go.
Chime in on hockey.
Exactly.
Ready to rock. I don't have anything to add to the hockey. Sorry.
What about when you were watching the Heritage Classic yesterday? What do you think, Buffalo and Toronto?
Buffalo, they've had their struggles, but they looked pretty good yesterday. Who'd they play? I can't even remember. What'd you say, Ottawa?
I found Newburyport. It's 2 titles, 09 and 15, so they only have 2.
All right. Well,
Prep, in fact, I was just talking with head coach Christian Hansen before we got on the podcast here as he was hitting the ice over at the Essex Sports Center for what they hope is just one more practice, not the last practice of the season. They are in the state semifinals, and that should not be a surprise to anyone who's followed them or watched them this year. They've been number 1 for going on 2 months now in the state. They are 20-3. One more win will tie the record for most wins in school history in one season. And they're playing a familiar foe right there, BC High in the conference. Now, BC High came in with a sub 500 record. I want to say 6-12-1, maybe 7-12-1.
All right, there, Phil.
New power seedings, they were seeded 11th.
13.
And they
Yeah.
turned, I'm sorry, 13, that's right.
Yeah.
Malden Catholic was 11, another Catholic conference school. And they really turned it on in the playoffs. Milton gave them a scare in the first round. They knocked off Milton 3-2. They won back-to-back 1-0 games against teams that were heavily favored to beat them, in Catholic Memorial and Austin Prep, both of those in the other team's enemy building. So this BC High team is not a fluke. They're for real. They struggled early in the season, like a lot of teams did, by problems with COVID and not having all their guys, and lost some tough games. But once they started rolling, they've been playing really well. They played really well in the beginning, late in the season. That Buddy Ferreira tournament takes place down South Shore, and that's carried on over into the postseason. As Coach Hansen said, BC High's playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. No one's expecting them to beat the number 1 seeded Prep. I mean, I'm sure they expect to, but most people looking at that are going to say, "Oh, St. John's Prep is going to waltz in the finals," and he knows that's not the case at all. They've had a long history of playing each other, both in the regular season and the state tournament. This will be the 8th time they've played under Hansen's watch, and the Prep has been pretty good in those games. They've won 5 and only lost 2. Both of their losses were by 1 goal. In fact, one of them was in the state semifinals back in 2012, I want to say it was. Yeah, that was right. Sam Kirkus senior year. They lost in the state semifinals to BC High, 3-2 that year. So, St. John's is coming off of its own tough game after kind of, breezing a little bit through their first 2. Braintree gave them a real battle, public school team. Prep led the entire way, but they never really had any breathing room in that game. So they're going to have to attack the BC High net. They can't let BC High dictate how the game is going to be played, if it's going to be slogged down, or, if they're going to trap St. John's and try to slowing down their forwards or whatnot. Prep needs to score early. Prep needs to set the pace. Prep needs to make BC High play their game. Now, the big ice surface at Songus, I think, is going to be an advantage for St. John's Prep. They're fast. They're a team that really works well by using that speed, cycling the puck, getting it down low, getting the defenseman turned around, working the puck behind the net, moving guys in and out front, having their defensemen at the points to help up, step up, make things happen. So I do think that big ice surface is going to be favorable for them. But when you're playing a team with nothing to lose, that's a dangerous spot to be in. And when most people expect you to win, that's also dangerous. I think they need to shut the noise out, just focus on what they need to do for 45 minutes. And hopefully they're off to the finals for the first time since 2016 when the night's over.
Nick Giannino, what do you think about the larger ice surface?
Makes for some interesting up and down play. Really puts the dump and chase into play a little bit more. I don't know, guys.
Pucks in deep, Nick. Pucks in deep.
There you go.
In deep.
I will say too, I mean, I was crunching some numbers. This is the 8th time for the Prep's current coaching staff in the state semifinals. That's 6 in the Super 8 and 2 in Division 1. They're 3 and 4 in this spot so far. So I don't know. I mean, maybe Coach Christian, maybe he's Coach K with all these Final Fours now. I don't know.
No, they should be 5 and 2 against BC High. Oh, you're saying it at this level. I get you. Okay.
They're 1 and 1 against BC High in the state semifinals. They're
Gotcha.
3 and 4 overall in the state semifinals against all opponents.
Yeah.
So that includes, Weymouth, Austin Prep, North
Hope
Final
Francis
against
2 years ago. Yep. I got you.
North Final was who beat him in the North Final, Winchester or somebody like that.
Yeah.
So-
4-1, I want to say it was.
Yeah, I was in Songus too. So they've had a lot of games on that ice too. I mean, that's for sure. But 8 Final Fours in 12 years. I mean, that's some that's some Jerry York stuff by Christian and his friends there. That's pretty good.
I'll say too, Bill, that another boon in the, or I should say, a feather in the Prep's cap would be the fact that the scoring has been so spread out. They had either 16 or 17 guys register at least 1 point in the postseason so far in the 3 games that they've played. So they're not necessarily dependent on that first line, with the Blazer brothers, Cole and Pierce, and Tommy Sani at right wing to do the bulk of the scoring. I mean, that second line can generate a whole lot. Jimmy Ayers in between Ben McGilvery and Will Van Sicklen. The third line, piloted by Christian Rosa, with Cam Umla on one side, and geez, why am I drawing a blank on the right wing there? I'm getting old, but they're also generating a lot of scoring chances for themselves. So and even the fourth line has scored. You had a goal 2 games ago from Joe Melanson. New York's went home. So Jake Vanner is the right wing on that third line. Sorry for the brain fart there. But they're getting all kinds of scoring. The defensemen are stepping up. I mean, I think Aiden Holland has had a fantastic postseason for St. John's. Defensively, he's playing a ton of minutes for them. He's really kind of emerged as the number 1 guy on that blue line. And of course, Willie's guy, the baseball commit, Peyton Palladino, has been the last line of defense and goal. So should St. John's Prep be favored to win? Yes, they should be. They're the number 1 seed, as the coaches have been telling them the entire season. You're number 1. You're the better team. Now go out and prove it. And so far, that's working. But I really feel like this is going to be their toughest test in the semifinals tomorrow night against BC High.
All right, and let's move quickly to basketball. We got a little bit of boys talk to go over, and then we got some girls games coming up as well to talk about. So just a quick note, Beverly was ousted since our last podcast by Central Catholic. Central Catholic also has gone out of the tournament. In Division 3, St. Mary's of Lynn is taking on Norton Tuesday night in Woburn. And in Division 4, Manchester-Essex was ousted this past weekend, just Sunday, by Wacona Regional. So they did not make it to the Final Four. So we'll call on the Knicks here. Nick Kukuru first, a little note on Manchester-Essex boys, and then Nick Giannino can pick it up from there with maybe a note on Beverly or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, tough break for Manchester-Essex. I think, you know what, they got a little reason to be a little salty about their placement, to be honest with you. They're number 12 seed. They went on the road. They beat the number 5. And if I'm being honest, if Wacona's got to make that drive to Eastern Mass, Manchester-Essex mops the floor with them. And I think Manchester-Essex probably beats them. If they play on Worcester on a neutral site, I think Manchester-Essex wins that game comfortably too. I thought they were a slightly better team, but they collapsed down the stretch. They got outscored 18-2 in the final 5 minutes. So they probably should have won regardless of all the tough breaks they caught. But very good team, and they were a year away. They're supposed to be a year away, so they're only losing 1 starter for next year. It's AJ Palazzolo, who's their great point guard, all league performer. But yeah, I mean, I guess their 12 seed was a little low, but I mean, I can't really complain too much. The Cal Kinney division was not that strong this year, so a lot of those crossover wins that they got, they actually went undefeated against the Cal Kinney. Those wins didn't really hold the weight that they would in an average year for that conference. North Reading, Pentucket, those teams are usually very solid, really good wins, and they didn't really do a whole lot beating them this year as far as their rating is concerned. So they had to go on the road the last 2 rounds, tough break, and a 3-hour drive for a 1 p.m. start on daylight savings time did them in.
Nick Giannino?
Yeah, you mentioned Beverly. Obviously, great season for them. They came up short in the Elite 8. Oh, actually, I guess it was the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Thinking about it. Hosted Central Catholic, a really, really good team. It was a great game. Could have went either way. Awesome crowd there. Over 1,000 people showed up for that one. And, Beverly was right there. They took a lead late in the game. It was kind of just back and forth, and Central just made more plays down the stretch to pull it out. That Xavier McKenzie kid went for 39 for Central. And obviously they ended up going into BC High and losing that one, which I think Beverly probably, I don't want to, they were a good team, but I think they probably would have lost to BC High as well. So, one more win there would have got them a loss probably anyway. BC High is just far and away the best team right now in Division 1. They're probably going to win it all if they can stay healthy and keep moving like this. But yeah, great season for Beverly, and they're another team that's going to bring most of their players back. They do graduate 2 captains, and Nick Bregyanka and Griffin Francis, who were important pieces of that team, as well as Zach Sparkman, who came off the bench for most games. But they bring back Ryder Frost, the star sophomore. They bring back Gabe Copeland, who had a great playoffs for them. He's a junior, and Dylan Crowley's coming back. I mean, the list goes on. They're going to be strong next year as well. So
Nick, would they be in danger of losing, say, like a Frost to a prep school at all?
Absolutely, yeah. It's in the cards. I think Ryder's kind of got to make a decision on that. Obviously, he plays for the AAU program there, Middlesex Magic, which has a lot of prep guys. And he had a terrific year as a sophomore, averaging over 20 points, I think about 10 rebounds. Just a very talented kid, got the height, skill set, got the IQ, got the athleticism. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see him leave, but at the same time, Beverly's going to be really good again. So they could make another deep run, and he's getting plenty of, notice there. I'm sure college scouts and things like that are going to know who he is regardless of where he's playing. So
yeah, and I know his dad's a real Beverly guy too, so that's what made me.
Yeah, and they got a great fan base. I would think that they would want to come back and try and, finish this thing and make a real deep run, but you just never know. You had Gabe Copeland stick around. I don't think he's going anywhere, and he's almost, just as good. So they're gonna be fun to watch next year as well. And I do want to go ahead.
No, go ahead, Nick. You wrap it up. Go ahead with them. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, nothing more on Beverly, but I just wanted to shout out Bishop Fenwick boys. They came up a little short in Division III, but after a 10-10 regular season, they got a nice win in the first round, and they almost upset New Mission, who's a powerhouse program for boys hoop over the past decade, and they came up 1 point short. I think if Jason Romans, their senior captain there, didn't have to deal with cramps late in that game, he missed some time, and that's when New Mission went on a big run. They would have had a good chance to pull it out, but Jason scored his 1,000th career point in that one. It was a really entertaining game. Bishop Fenwick was down about 10 points with 2 minutes left and put it all the way to 2 before losing by 1. So, good season for them.
Let's shift quickly to the girls because we have limited time here, but we have plenty of time to talk about St. Mary's Fenwick Tuesday, 5 o'clock at Woburn. And this is a great semifinal matchup here in girls basketball. Matt, do you want to take that one, or Nick G?
Yeah. Well, we've been remiss not to mention the Fenwick girls, right? I mean, they're still playing, and this is the matchup, the rivalry. This is what everybody wants to see. And, if I'm not mistaken, Fenwick hasn't beaten St. Mary's since the 2018 state tournament. In the North quarters, they beat them, and I think they've lost all the games since. I might be forgetting one here or there, but I believe also that year they lost both regular season meetings to St. Mary's and then got them in the playoffs. So they're hoping they can do that again. I think they have a height advantage, certainly with Kay and
Andrews,
Nasha, Arnold, who's going to Wheaton to play. And I think Olivia Found is an X factor. I mean, she's quick. She handles the ball as well as anybody. She's got, great feet, just incredible movement. And she's going to have her hands full with those guards of St. Mary's that shoot the lights out of the place. I mean, Corlise, I hope I'm saying her name right. I think she's from Ipswich. She just got 1,000 points. So St. Mary's is a machine. But Fenwick's a team that really is able to game plan well. And I think they really used their brains to beat Norwell the other night. I mean, from what I've heard, and Nick was at the game, he can elaborate on this, but from what I've heard, Norwell had a big kid that was really smooth, could shoot the three, could do everything, and Fenwick was able to neutralize her and play game plan like. So even though they won't fool Jeff Newhall because he's seen all their tricks in the past, they're not very good at game planning.
Yeah, well, like Willie said, I was at that Norwell game. It was a close game at the half. Neither team was really, clicking offensively. It was a low-scoring game. I think it was 18-14 at the half. But then Fenwick really just turned it on in the second half. And some of those players Matt alluded to, Olivia Found runs the show for them. She hardly ever comes off the floor. Even if she doesn't lead them in scoring, she's dishing out assists. She's swiping steals. She's very active defensively. So been really impressed with her game, as a senior captain now. And like Willie said, they have the height. Cecilia Kay, the sophomore, is the real deal. She can score inside and out. Ella Andrew, Nasha Arnold, for them are close to 6 feet. So I think to compete with St. Mary's, and they did lose to them twice in the regular season, but it was by 2 points and 5 points, I think was the other one. So close games. I mean, they can certainly compete with the St. Mary's team, and they're out for blood. Adam DeBadgis, the head coach, said they've been eyeing this game. They wanted this matchup. This is something they're looking forward to. They want the challenge. They want to beat them when it counts like this in the playoffs. And I think they have a great shot to do it. It'll be a neutral site in Woburn on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. I'm sure a good crowd for that one. So it's a nice rivalry game to have a CCL team represented in the, regardless of who wins in the Division III finals here. So that should be a fun one.
Neither team will get the benefit from the big ice either.
No, the court size remains the same, I believe.
But that's,
Although,
It's a pretty
St.
large
Mary's
seating
has a,
mover now. Yeah.
St. Mary's
Yeah.
has a seventh grader, don't they? That contributes. Is it Bella Wumi? I want to say her name.
Yeah,
is?
she might start. Does she start for them?
yeah, I think she
haven't.
does. I'm fairly
Yeah.
certain she does.
Yeah.
But the gym might matter. We've seen that over the years in Division III. When you get in a big gym, you start missing shots because the hoop looks different. So there's a little bit of ice size situation there.
The other thing too, though, is
you gotta play the clip from Hoosiers when they go into the Indianapolis Fieldhouse there, whatever it was.
oh
Still
yeah,
10-foot rims.
yeah, that's right. He
court
measures
still-
it, right? That's a good scene.
Right.
But
And they have
no,
a starter from Peabody too, don't they, Willie? St. Mary's. Pereira, Kellen Pereira, is that her name?
You got me.
Yeah, I think she's a starter for them. And there's another girl for Swampscott who starts for St. Mary's guard. Used to be at Swampscott High, Nia Morgan.
Oh, well, they have starters. They have starters that played varsity at other teams. That's weird. That never happens. Wow. That's.
And again, so as Nick mentioned, that game's 5:00 Tuesday. As people see this, it'd be tonight, Tuesday night at Woburn. Also, a
and you
shout out
guys
to
quickly. You mentioned the gym. Bishop Fenwick only hit 2 threes in that game. The win against Norwood. So most of their points come in the paint, layups, little floaters, things like that. So that could, play an advantage with the shooting factor at least. I mean, they're really good at getting to the rim.
Yeah. Amesbury, I was going to mention in D4 in the state semifinal against South Hadley also on Tuesday. Gentlemen, we have just a few minutes left, but we may have some other topics to either circle back to or mention. Matt, you have one on track you want to share with us, and feel free to put some final thoughts in from all of you guys. We'll go around the horn here in our final couple of minutes.
Well, I just you got to shout out the St. John's Prep Shuttle Hurdle Relay team, right? I mean, they went to New Balance Nationals at the Armory, and they finished second overall in the championship division. So they have 2 divisions at Nationals: the championship and the Rising Stars. And the championship, the qualifying standards are a little bit more stringent. So to finish second in the championship division is amazing. That's All-American honors and the first prep All-American relay team since 2006. So great job by those guys. And, there were a whole bunch of people from Peabody there competing as well. Lindsay Wilson, who's a junior in the high jump, she jumped 5'3 1/4. And that broke a school record that was set 41 years ago by Leslie Welch. I'm sorry, her twin sister Lisa. But Leslie, anytime you break a record that was set by one of the Welches, that's pretty impressive. 5'3 1/4. Now, the overall school record, the outdoor record, is by Kristen Foley, another famous name. That's 5'7". So it's going to be a little tougher for her to get that one. And of course, we know that Kristen did not high jump indoors because she was busy winning state championships in basketball.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, congratulations, great seasons for both the Masconomet and Danvers boys hockey teams who lost their respective quarterfinal games in overtime. Masconomet with a heartbreaker that Willie was at. Was it Maddie McMillan? Not Nick, Matt, that scored that tying goal, Willie, in the final minute of regulation?
The defenseman scored the goal.
Yeah.
Pinched in and picked his spot. Tremendous goal. Really
guess,
pretty shot.
Just from watching the replay, Masco threw everything at them in overtime. One shot by Duxbury goes in. I mean, really unfortunate to see them lose. Northeastern Conference champions, like we said, they beat Gloucester twice. Would have been great to see them in Gloucester in the Division II final, but it wasn't to be. I was out in Marlborough watching Danvers play. I certainly did not expect Danvers to be in a state quarterfinal overtime with the #1 seed. They have 3-1 lead going into the last period. Credit to Marlborough for coming back and tying it and then winning in overtime. But I thought Danvers hugely overachieved this year. I mean, we don't need to go into all the rigmarole that went in around the program in the offseason, but new coach Kevin Fassett comes in, was tasked with get this program back, and he did it. And they had some trials and tribulations during the season record-wise, but went into the playoffs on a nice little roll, won 2 games, and like I said, took the #1 team in Division 3 to overtime before losing. So I just want to congratulate both those teams on a really good season.
Nick Kukuru or Nick Giannino?
Well, I can add two Swampscott boys deserve a shout out.
Yeah.
They had a 15-game win streak, picked up a playoff win, and then lost in double overtime on a 3-pointer at the buzzer to Old Rochester. So that was a heartbreaker. I think that game was up in the low 90s in points. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see that. Scott Cooper was over at that one for us, but great season for Swampscott. They certainly made their mark and deserve a lot of credit. You know, ultimately coming up a bit short in double OT, but still a great season.
Program has really turned around. There's no doubt about that. Good point.
Yeah, Jason Knowles, he's doing a great
Yeah.
job. He's the golf coach over there as well, and he's got those kids playing some really good basketball.
Nice. Nick Kukuru, I don't know what you want to talk, but I do know that Gloucester has a new softball coach, right? This past week.
Yeah, Brian Aiello. He was I had Johnny Castro stepped down about a month or so ago. Now Brian Aiello's coming in to take his spot. I know he's coached a bunch of AAU teams in the area. He's got 2 daughters on the team who are 2 of their top players, so they'll be good again. You know, John didn't leave them with scraps like we've seen some coaches do when they leave good programs. Oh, they still got some players, plenty of players coming on the team.
All right, our time is up here. So, gentlemen, great job. And by the way, we've run out of time, and there was no mention of anybody unretiring here in this podcast this week. So,
Welcome back, Brady.
And baseball's back.
yes,
Baseball
baseball. Well, it's been an eventful week. So, hang in there with us. We'll be back again soon. But again, gentlemen, thank you, and have a great week ahead.
Thanks, Bill.